Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for this tutorial on how to needle felt a sheep using a cookie cutter. Now the equipment you're going to need for this is a felting mat. This is one of the foam types. There are brushes available that you can felt onto, or indeed you can use a kitchen scouring sponge like this. I often use these for small pieces of work. Of course you'll need a felting needle. These are incredibly sharp, please remember that if you haven't used them before. Very painful if you stab them into your finger by accident. You'll also need your fleece or roving. Roving is washed fleece that's been carded and dyed usually. Or you can use washed raw fleece, which is what I'm going to use this afternoon. This one is from a Jacob sheep. It's lovely and soft. And before I start, I tease it out a little bit just to even it out, because you may be able to see that you get little thicker pieces of fleece when it's raw fleece like this. So the first thing you need to do then is take your cookie cutter. We're using a sheep in this instance, but you can use any shape you like. Take your raw fleece or roving and push it into your cutter, getting it into all the little nooks and crannies as best you can, like so. So get in as much as you can. I just missed his little foot there. Take your felting needle and just slowly and carefully push the fleece in around the edge of the cutter. I say do it slowly and carefully because if you go a bit quick with it, you can catch the edge of the cutter, and that is just likely to snap the tip off your needle. So just carefully go around the edge, just pushing the fleece in. This Jacob fleece is actually very, very springy. I'm having to hold it down quite firmly in the middle here as well. So I'm just carefully going around the outside of the cutter, just getting it to catch in one or two places before I start actually felting the whole piece. There we are. Just tucking some edges in here, like so. Just keep stabbing carefully into the wool or fleece, watching the edges of the cutter. Try to keep your needle as upright as possible, because that way there's less chance of you catching the edge of the cutter and damaging it, or snapping the end off your needle indeed. As you can see, as we go, the fleece is getting flatter and flatter and disappearing into the cutter. This is because the barbs on the needle are getting the scales on the fleece to catch together, hence the felting. Now, as you can see, that piece of fleece that was there just now spilling all over the sides has all but disappeared into the cutter. So when I get to this stage, put my needle to one side, just slip your fingertips under the edge and you'll find that your little piece of work is actually felted slightly to the mat. So very carefully, just using your tips of your fingers, ease the cutter off, complete with the fleece. Turn him over on the other side, just push him down, and he's just still a little bit soft. So I'm going to add a little bit more wool, exactly as before. Just push it on top and carefully push the edges in first. I hope you can see this because I'm sure that my hand will get in the way quite often as I do it. So just carefully pushing the edges in around the edge of the cutter, like so. Now, how firm you want your little sheep to be is entirely up to you. It's your piece of work, so the decision is entirely yours. The more you felt, the smaller and firmer the piece will become, so that's the thing to bear in mind. And it really depends on what you want to use your little sheep for. I mean, if you're making a decoration with it, which I do quite often, little hanging decoration, then I like them to have quite a lot of fleece and be quite chunky. But if you wanted to use them for embellishing something like dryer balls, or as an embellishment for a greetings card, for instance, you'd want them quite thin, so you don't need to keep adding the wool. The choice is entirely yours. So again, here we go, stabbing down the main part of it. And again, you can see that that additional wool is flattening out very quickly as I go on with the felting process. Again, being as careful as I can to keep the needle upright. I do have a dreadful habit personally of working like that, and it isn't always the best way to do it, so try if you can to keep the needle upright. If nothing else, it'll save you some money in needles. Just be aware when you're doing the edges that it's best to go very slowly, because if you go too quickly, if you catch the edge and the needle slips over, it will go into your finger and it really, really does hurt. So again, I'm just stabbing away, working my way across now to try and keep the whole piece even. There he is. And again, we're going to lift him off. Same method as before. Just ease your fingertips under the edge and peel him back like so. Turn him over again. I'm going to give him another little push. It's a bit firmer this time, although I don't know if you can see on the video, but when I push down, his head's going down further than anywhere else, so I need a little bit more wool there. I'll just not quite put the right amount in, I don't think, to even him up. So again, carefully pushing the wool into the edges. And you can do this with your own pieces, of course. If anywhere feels a little bit thinner than anywhere else, just add a little bit more wool. If you heard some groaning then on the video, it's actually my terrier deciding to wake up and find out what I'm up to, so apologies for that. It wasn't me groaning, really. Not this time, anyway. So again, just very carefully going around the edges. And that's the aforementioned terrier jumping up onto his chair. He's just trying to make a scene. Apologies. Now, as you can see, the cutter is full now of felted wool. So again, we're going to ease him off. Have a little look at him, give him a little push. Little places to embellish now. If I continue poking with my needle, he would go flatter, but for now this is fine. So, finger and thumb, or two thumbs, I don't know what's the matter with me this afternoon, sorry. Two thumbs, push him out, and there you have your basic sheep outline. Now, obviously you can see there's bits hanging about all over the place. So if you take your needle, and just really carefully, remember I can't go on enough about how careful you need to be when you're doing this part of it, that you don't actually catch the end of your fingers. There are finger guards available. I do have some here. I'll just show you briefly, like this. I'm not using them for the tutorial because they will get in the way. You won't be able to see, but basically one on thumb, one on your finger, and that can help, but the needles will go through those, be warned. So back to just tidying up the edges. You could trim round with a pair of scissors, but that gives you a very definite cut edge, which, depending what you're doing, you may or may not want. So that again is a matter of your own personal choice. But I'm just very, very gently tapping, almost tapping rather than stabbing, I suppose, the edges in, and hopefully you'll be able to see that you're getting a little bit more definition as you go. There's a little chin. Just around the bottom of his little legs. This is just a very simple method of making basic shapes, which you can then make into other things or have as they are. It's a little bit soft in the legs there. If I just show you, if I pinch it. But again, that can be cured by adding more wool or felting him a bit more. Again, turn over and do the other side. Always work evenly with these pieces. And just very lightly tapping round. You can do all sorts of things with these little chaps. I've made little hanging decorations, which is usually what I make with them, actually. With Santa hats on for Christmas, somebody asked me to do. Also as different breeds using different types of fleece. You can do whatever you like with them once you've made your basic shape. So, as you can see, it's getting more and more defined as we go along. Now this is your basic cookie cutter sheep then. You can add eyes, nose, which is what I do with them. You can make them into decorations, use them as embellishments, whatever you really would like to do with them. He's still a bit fluffy in places to be honest. It takes quite a long time, the finishing part of it, but it's worth it in the end. And there you have your basic needle felted sheep from a cookie cutter. Today we're going to add eyes, a nose, and fluff him out and make him look a bit more like a real sheep. So, to make a little eye, I'm using raw fleece again, but you can use roving if you wish, it's not a problem. You just need a tiny piece. What I do is I stretch it out a little bit, roll it between my fingers to make it a bit more manageable, and then decide where I want my little sheep's eye to be. It's going to be about there. Now, as you can see, there's far too much there, but it's unmanageable if it's too tiny a piece. Then very carefully and very gently just start dabbing in the end of the fleece that you're using Don't do it too hard, otherwise you'll make a big dent in his head, which isn't really the desired effect. You see, it just takes a few seconds. Then with a pair of scissors, just trim off the excess, just like so. Oops. Gave him a bit of an impromptu shearing then. Then you can go on to tidy up your edges, like so, just folding them gently in. Very straightforward piece of work. Now, of course, he needs two eyes. I've cheated a bit because I already did one. But pop him around the other side and do exactly the same thing. Just dabbing the ends in carefully. Now, for his little nose, similar thing, but you want a little bit more fleece. So again, tease it out a little bit. A little bit of vegetation there. I don't think we need that on our sheep. Twist it between your thumb and finger. Just makes it easier to manage it. Decide where you want to place your little nose. And again, just very gently tap in some of the fleece. Now, as you can see, it all looks a bit random, but it will all come together. Now you can make his nose as large or as small as you want it to be. He's your piece of artwork, so the choice is yours. Once you've got the nose to hold on a bit, just trim off the excess, and again, like the eyes, you can start tidying it up around the edges. Remember to watch your fingers. I know I went on about it last time, but again, I'm going on about it because you're working very close to the end of your fingers doing this finer stuff, like so. And that will tidy in. Then you can do a bit of reshaping until you've got the desired effect. This one's a little bit scruffy, but I will tidy that up later. Now he needs to have a proper fleece. Now I'm going to use Herdwick fleece. Again, you can use roving or raw fleece. I'm using raw washed fleece from my own pet Herdwicks. Thank you, boys. Again, tease it out. Now I decided to lay it just where his head joins his neck. And then again, very lightly, and probably more lightly than when you actually made the piece in the cookie cutter itself. Just stab gently at the fleece until it, a bit more vegetation, until it grips the fleece underneath. You see, I can pick him up by that now. So you're just gently doing that, and you keep moving him round. Okay, leave his little legs sticking out, like so. And again, you see the very light and not too fast a motion. You just want it to grip, because you're aiming to give him a fluffy fleece. And if you stab too much, it'll go flat, like so. And then, oops, a bit more fleece again. Tease it out gently and lay over the bits you haven't done. You carry on like so. Again, very gently, following the shape that you made last time. And as you can see, the fleece is flattening down quite quickly. Make sure you're not stabbing too hard. You don't want to go right into him with it, because you're creating a fleece effect on the outside. So you don't want him flat, otherwise he'll look like he's just been shorn. Right, as you can see, it's quite quick and easy to do once you get the hang of it. And then a little bit more around this bottom. Again, you don't need to be too precise because you can adjust it with your needle as you go. And this is just the first layer of fleece on there. And so you don't have to spend the whole time watching me make the first layer. I've started this one already. And as you can see, I've put some fleece on. So he's starting to take a shape. Now to make him a nice round chubby sheep, you just simply add more fleece. Now because we're shaping him, we just want to make a little bit of a tummy. So put the larger part of the fleece in the middle. And just start working from the shoulder, if you like. Or it depends which way around you've got it. I've got this upside down to show you. Now when you get to this middle bit where you want the shape to be, just around here, just be very gentle with the needle so that it's just catching the fibres. You'll actually feel it doing that as you go. And then where you want more definition, like along his tummy and round the top of his legs, you just stab a little bit harder. So the idea is that you have a little bump in the middle and not quite so bumpy at the back. You need to lay the fleece all the way along to make a nice smooth line when you come to do it. A bit of long hardy. Then I'll try and do it from above. It's not easy, but just so you can see. Now, as you shape down his back, you see he's got a little bit of a tummy starting there. Oops, we seem to have a poltergeist here again. Keep dabbing away then. Turn him over the other side. And again the same thing. Thick a bit of fleece in the middle, tapering out to each end. You see he's a bit wobbly. Now don't be tempted to press on him. You won't need to because your needle will go in far enough for this job. Because if you press down, you'll flatten him, poor little sheep. So again, just lightly. The aim at this point is to get the fleece attached, and then you can do all your refinements afterwards. And under his tummy again, just, sorry about the odd bits of hay in there. I obviously did not too good a job of getting all the VM out. This is one of the penalties of using raw fleece. So as you can see, he's now got a bit of a bump each side. So you just carry on with your needle, creating the shape that you want. Again, it's your sheep. You can make him as skinny or as fat as you want him to be. And just keep going. Just making your shape as you go. Let me stop and have a look at him. Mine's a little bit uneven, so if you've got any unevenness, this is a great beauty of felting. If it doesn't work, add a bit more wool. Now we're just going to fill in the gaps. And if you've got bits you need flatter, you just felt them a little bit more until they go flat, or as flat as you want them to be. It's a little bit tatty around the edges because I'm rushing a bit. I don't want to bore you with the details. And then that's his back head. Now, as you can see, I hope you can see his shoulders are a bit iffy. So out with a bit more fleece, tease it out a bit. And then you can wrap it around the front to get a good finish on it. Remember not to squeeze any part of him too tight once you started putting the shaping on, because you'll do what I just did, which is flatten him a bit. But you can always use your needle to tease that back out. Oops. And it wouldn't be the same if I didn't say it again. Watch your fingers as you do this sort of thing. Certainly, because this part of it isn't too precise, if you wanted to wear your finger guards, they certainly wouldn't get in your way. And so on. Let me just fluff him out there. So eventually, you'll get a nice little chubby sheep. He'll be as chubby as you want him to be, as I say, or as skinny as you want him to be. And the next thing we want to do, you may or may not have noticed I haven't done much along his back line, and that's because we're going to add a hanging cord in a minute, and I'm actually going to felt it in. So what I normally do is just get a piece of fleece and put it over the back end of him, like so, to even it up. Sorry, it's taken me a while to do it. It's not much fun watching other people do stuff, I know. And then I'm also going to do the same thing just behind his neck. He's a bit wild, the sheep throwing himself about, look. Now you'll see that, or you may or may not see, there's just a little area there that I haven't added any more fleece to just yet. So that's where we're going to put the cord. I use quite often this metallic parcel type cord, present wrapping cord, because it's pretty and it's cute. But you could use ribbon, anything you like really. Little double knot in the end, like so. And again, you can make it any length you want. That is all up to you. I'll just snip the ends off, like so. Now comes the fun bit. She says, little bit of fleece ready. And then place your cord where you think it might be best to hang him level. Now I put them on sideways, but you put it on whichever way you want. Lay a piece of fleece, just a thin piece, I'll show you why in a minute, over it, and just dab it and the cord into the area you want it. Don't press too hard, but enough to grip the cord in for now. It's quite fiddly. Now the reason I only use a little bit of fleece, badly in this instance, is it gives you the opportunity to move it around if your little sheep isn't going to hang in the right position. So you see he's a little bit lopsided. So just push your cord over a bit more, if that's the case, or front and back, whichever way he's wobbling. A little bit more felting. Check it again. He's reasonably straight now. I'll adjust it. Once you're happy with where the cord is, a bit more fleece or roving. Again, give it a quick tease out. Lay it over your fairly good sized piece because it needs to hold this cord in place firmly now. And start felting away. so. Again, you can adjust the shape of your little sheep anytime you like. It's all a matter of either adding more fleece or felting it flatter. No two pieces are ever identical, which is always nice as well. Everything you make will be original. I'm doing this rather quickly, so it's not looking very refined, I'm afraid, but hopefully you'll get the idea. If your cord is still a little bit out, you can adjust it as you go. I just check every so often as I felt. And there you have one little hanging herdwick, or indeed whatever sort of little sheep you'd like to make him into. You could do with a bit of tidying up, but I'll do that afterwards. I hope you've enjoyed this little video. If you have any questions, please ask away, and it would be great to see pictures of your pieces in the comments. Thank you, everybody.